There comes a time in every person's life when they stop to wonder, am I doing enough? Sure, working a regular 9-to-5 job and spending your time working your way up in your career can be satisfying, but sometimes the process of paying the bills can become tiresome and tedious, and you may find yourself wondering if you've lost sight of what is really important. All of us have great talents and inspirations that drive us forward in life, but if we aren't taking steps every day to help us to achieve our goals, our passion for life begins to dwindle. It can be defeating to spend our lives working toward essentially nothing, stuck in the same monotonous routine while the things we really want to do with our lives are stuck on the back burner. That's no way to live, and many of us begin to feel stuck and confined as we wonder about the things that might have been, were we offered better opportunities, or had been able to make more time to work on the things that we find the most important to us. Well, there is no reason to wonder, what if, any longer. Using this book as a guide, you will begin to see that it is not only possible, but essential, to master your destiny. Every one of us has a special purpose on this planet, and a singular life that belongs to us and us alone. Each of us has a duty to honor the purpose that we were meant to serve, and we are allowed to continue to create the changes that need made in order to make those dreams a reality. What most of us are lacking is the basic structure to get to where we want to be. Accomplishing our goals may seem obscure and idealistic, but there are steps that we can take every single day to get to where we want to be. It has never been more possible to become the best version of yourself you can possibly be, and by following the simple key steps in this book, before you know it you will be well on your way to mastering your destiny. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Know Thyself. The advice may seem tired, but the fact of the matter is that knowing yourself is a tried and true way of mastering your destiny. A person who doesn't know themselves, inside and out, will not be capable of growing and changing in the ways that will help them to evolve as a person, because that person will likely be a slave to their vices without even knowing it. Most of us have a hard time admitting our flaws and faults, even to ourselves. That gives them free rein over our lives, and a season pass to sabotage anything that we are working on. It is a sneaky way for us to get in our own ways without really being able to see the problem for what it is, an act of self-sabotage. The most effective strategy in combating self-sabotage is to get to know yourself inside and out. This may seem simple, but it is probably going to be a lot more complex than you might think. It's more than just sitting down and listing the things you think you know about yourself, which is a good start. This is a time-intensive process that you will need to do with the help of friends and family whom you can trust to tell you the truth, whether it hurts your feelings or not. But before we involve anyone else in the process of getting to know yourself, first you have to figure out just what it is that you already have covered. One thing that may really help you is to take the Myers-Briggs personality test. Upon taking this test, you will find yourself placed in one of 16 categories, and these categories each have a detailed profile that can help you understand more about yourself and the way you respond to certain situations and stimuli. This can also be useful in learning more about how you conduct yourself in relationships and as a part of a peer group, without having to rely on the feedback of your trusted friends and family. These types of personality tests are also very insightful when it comes to the way one approaches their goals and whether or not they are realistic in the manner in which they attempt to achieve their dreams. Knowing your personality type may provide you with the insight you have been waiting for when it comes to which approach might work best for you in furthering your career or tackling the to-do list that has been put on the back burner for far too long. Once you have a basic understanding of your personality type, you can begin to narrow your focus down onto what it is that you truly believe in. Each of us have core values that provide us with the drive that spurns us onward. If we don't know what it is that we truly believe in, then it can be hard for us to feel fulfilled and our lives can lack in passion and motivation. But once we latch onto a core value that we truly feel passionate about, everything then begins to change. We can begin building a foundation for our lives and experiences based on these values, in a way that makes even the most mundane task begin to feel rewarding. How might that be? Because we know that even the smallest task can accumulate to a major accomplishment. And when you are living a life that is true to your core values and beliefs, these major accomplishments are sure to be things that truly serve your life's purpose. It is one of the most effective ways to make yourself feel like the master of your own destiny. Many people simply don't know themselves well enough to live a satisfying life, and this can be very sad. Whether it is a traumatic past that keeps you stuck, or it is simply a lack of self-knowledge or discipline, we all have to know who we are at the most fundamental level. Many people are so disconnected from themselves that they don't even know what it is they like or don't like. Now is the time to find these things out. If you have a hard time with this, now is the time to trust your friends and family to help you see yourself objectively. Ask them what they think your biggest pet peeves are, what you truly care about, and what it is you enjoy doing the most. Consider their opinions on your flaws and weaknesses, and vices that you might need to keep in check. Remember that the fastest way to empowerment is in knowing your own weaknesses. Honesty about these weaknesses helps you to develop them so that they are no longer holding you back. Keep it up until you have been able to build them into strengths. Goal: start a journal. In this journal, outline the things that make you who you are. Write down your self-perception in as much detail as possible. Take a test online to find out your Myers-Briggs personality type, and journal about any insights you might have learned from taking this test. Every day, write about a strength in yourself you have used recently and how it is positively impacting your life. Also, write about a weakness in yourself that you have pinpointed, and what you are doing to address it and balance it out so that you are taking control over your vices and turning them into strengths. A person with power over their own faults is a true master of their own destiny. Chapter 2: Bend, Don't Break. One thing that most people use as an excuse in giving up the control they need in their lives is other people. Other people get in the way. Other people make demands on their time so that they aren't able to achieve the things that they want to accomplish. Other people are responsible for the fact that they aren't able to get their lives organized and really take the reins. While it can be true that other people may pose interesting challenges when it comes to achieving our goals, the fact is that there is a difference between accommodating others and having healthy relationships versus bending over backwards to be a people pleaser and spending way too much time in doing so. People who master their destinies don't do it by kissing ass. They do it by putting their goals as their top priority and achieving them by any means necessary. This doesn't necessarily mean putting other people on the back burner. The fact of the matter is that humans are social animals, and we survive and thrive in communities where we help each other to evolve and learn. We work with people who rely on us, and if they find that we are willing to compromise ourselves for them, they will put us to work until we reach our limits. But many of us have a tendency to want to make everybody around us happy, and sometimes that means putting our own happiness on the line. It can seem impossible at times to please everybody around us, and the person who wants to focus on mastering their own destiny should take this as a lesson. It is impossible to make everybody happy. That is why it is most important to make sure that we are focusing on ourselves. This is not selfish. Actually, it is quite the opposite. When you are in an airplane that is crashing out of the sky, you are more likely to be able to help your elderly seatmate if you know to put your oxygen mask on first. When we don't wear the oxygen mask, we can't effectively help those around us, because we haven't taken care of ourselves first. This is a lesson that anybody with a tendency to people please should keep in mind. If we don't take care of ourselves, we will not provide ourselves with sufficient care. That can be dangerous and difficult for us to reconcile later, when we find we are so bogged down with the weight of other people's problems and expectations that we no longer know who we are anymore. The key to mastering your own destiny is in being able to let yourself have the freedom you need to say no. You can still be a social animal. You can still cohabitate with others and enjoy your team at work and achieve goals in a group setting. But the trick is in being able to set healthy boundaries so that you don't end up feeling as if you are being taken advantage of. Like the mighty reed, we need to bend, compromising only what truly needs compromised in order to succeed. We cannot break ourselves by taking on too much weight at once. Anybody who can step on us to serve themselves is likely to do just that. What we need to do is learn how to set healthy boundaries. And the first step in doing so is to put the oxygen mask on yourself and identify where in your life you could be more assertive. This can be difficult, as balancing family and domestic matters can often be a difficult and messy task. In this case, it is best to sit down and have a mature and respectful conversation with your family members or roommates about what household expectations are and what is reasonable to expect from you considering your responsibilities. Once a system is in place here, it is much easier to assert yourself. For example, if it is a roommate's turn to do dishes, you can simply state it is so and refer to the agreement. This can be done assertively without any guilt on your part or temptation to simply buckle under the pressure of unmet duties that one might expect you to take onto yourself. This is just one example of many. Being assertive may seem intimidating, but it is the most rewarding thing that you can do. Being assertive requires a firm understanding of your own boundaries and limitations. Make sure that you think carefully about what it is you are willing to do, and what is too much for you. Be willing to be honest with those around you and stay firm when you tell them no. People respect a person with boundaries, and people pleasers usually end up very unhappy and aren't always treated well. Setting boundaries will make it that much easier to master your domain once and for all. Goal: sit down and write a list of things that you feel you do out of a people-pleasing habit. Address each of these ways with assertive but calm ways that you can respond to these situations and set a healthy boundary for yourself. For example, if you feel that a coworker takes advantage of the way you pick up the slack for them, simply stop picking up the slack and let them know that you do not appreciate what they are doing. Practice communicating calmly and clearly without being accusatory, such as using "I" statements, so that others will be willing to accept your no for what it is and are less likely to perceive it as a personal attack. Chapter 3: How to Utilize Visualization. Many self-help gurus of the 21st century will attest to the benefits of visualization. There is even science behind it. Our brains don't always know the difference between something that is made up and something that is real. That can provide us with the power to turn dreams into a reality. Our brains are powerhouses that are constantly working overtime to solve our problems and help us to achieve our goals. When we are sleeping, they are hard at work in an attempt to puzzle over the day's events and try to make sense of them. Often, when we are least expecting it, we will have an aha moment, a sudden epiphany or a burst of realization about how to handle a particular job or problem. Many people don't realize that this happens because our brain is always attempting to make connections that will bring seemingly unrelated events into a cohesive whole of our conscious experience. Because of the power of our brains, visualization can be a very effective technique when utilized correctly. Even athletes can utilize visualization when it comes to gameplay. The neurons in our brains are stimulated by imagining a scene playing out, and can help to prime our bodies to have the reactions that we want and need to have in order to operate at peak capacity. Even if our goals are less physical and more conceptual, visualization has some incredible benefits. When we visualize a goal in our minds, it helps our brains to get focused on a new problem to solve. Whether we realize it or not, our minds begin to go to work in mulling the problem over and helping us to find easier and more direct ways to solve the problems that arise as a result of the planning process and to provide us with the drive and motivation that we need to succeed. When we begin to see opportunities to advance our goal rather than consuming ourselves in doubt, achieving becomes inevitable. We want to solve the problems posed to us by the goal in question, and when we are able to truly envision what it is that we want, we are priming our minds to help us to map out a plan that will get us from point A to point B with the least fuss possible. The greatest thing about visualization is that literally anybody can do it. All you really need to do is think about the goal you have and imagine what it would be like to live the life that you want most of all. When we imagine that we are living the life of our dreams, our brains are priming ourselves to follow a path that will provide those things to us. There are two different types of visualization that can help you to work toward your goals. The first type is called outcome visualization, which is what most people think of when it comes to visualization. Outcome visualization is when you think long and hard about the outcome you want out of any given situation and prime your brain to provide that outcome to you. Consider the mental image of your end goal and keep it in your mind for as long as you can. Come back to it every day so that your brain is primed on that image, and before you know it you will have a higher than average likelihood of seeing that image form into your reality. The second type of visualization is called process visualization, and this is used by those who have a lofty goal in mind and who need to take the time to visualize the steps that need to be taken in order to see their goals come to fruition. When you utilize process visualization, it is to help your mind to process the steps that you will need to take in order to achieve your goal. It makes it easier to break down big problems into manageable pieces so that before you know it, you can find yourself in a place you may have never believed possible. There are scientific backings to the process of visualization, and if you are willing to utilize it for yourself, you will be that much closer to mastering your destiny. Goal: sit down in a quiet room and close your eyes. Envision the future you want for yourself. Go into great detail about it, and hold the image in your mind for as long as you possibly can. Go back to this mental place as frequently as you are able to, at least once per day and maximum 3 times per day. Next, Visualize the steps that it will take in order to achieve that ideal lifestyle and allow your mind to break those steps down into manageable pieces. Start with the first piece and move on as needed, visualizing a successful completion and considering the course of action needed in order to make those dreams a reality. Chapter 4: How feeling and looking your best can help you achieve your dreams. Much of the time, we live our lives going from one task to the next, often putting ourselves and our health on the bottom of our list of priorities. This may seem convenient at the time during the hustle and bustle of daily life, but in the long run we begin to notice all of the ways that neglecting our health has actually harmed us. Instead of allowing other situations and people to take priority over your time, make sure that you are putting yourself and your body first. When you are meeting your own most fundamental and basic needs, then you are bound to feel more confident and overall happier than you would be simply ignoring them. When we spend too much time in our heads rather than nurturing a mind and body connection, it can become very overwhelming, whether we consciously realize it or not. Our minds become accustomed to ignoring our needs to the point that we experience burnout without even being able to pinpoint just what it is that we are burnt out from. Not only that, but sometimes it can be so easy to just let ourselves go physically, and before we know it we are suffering from health problems and body issues that we had never experienced before. We don't realize what harm we are doing to our bodies in the moment when we are sitting in bad positions all day or simply not getting enough nutrients or exercise. We don't realize just how important it is to make an investment of time in our health. Health and success may seem like they are not necessarily connected, and the truth is that maybe they shouldn't be. But unfortunately, there is a connection, and it is a rather significant one. When we are not tending to our health and fitness, our mind and concentration tend to suffer. When our brains aren't capable of operating in peak capacity, we not only miss opportunities that might help us to be successful in the ways that we are hoping to become successful, but we find ourselves wasting time by doing silly, unproductive things, such as zoning out or nurturing lazy and unhelpful habits. Rather than encouraging ourselves to be the best we can possibly be in every possible way, if we are letting ourselves go in the arenas of health and well-being, then we are actively sabotaging our chances of being successful. When we are exercising regularly, we are actually enhancing the brain's ability to think, concentrate, and create, allowing us the opportunities to truly excel in our day-to-day lives in ways that would not be possible if we are simply letting ourselves go. Taking care of our bodies is important in other ways as well. For one, it is empowering. When we know that we are actively making great choices that help to improve our quality of life, it gives us a boost of confidence. Our self-esteem goes through the roof with endorphins and positive thoughts and feelings related to knowing that we are strong enough to make the hard choices when it comes to matters of health. Not only that, but it is important in so many ways and for so many reasons that we are able and willing to really be honest with ourselves about what we do that is good for us and helpful, and what we do that is negative and unproductive. When we really force ourselves to take accountability for our actions, it becomes much easier for us to make the choices that actually serve us rather than sabotage us. Fitness and exercise are things that many people struggle with, especially in a world like modern-day North America. We are given flashy screens and conveniences out the wazoo, but that doesn't mean that we should let ourselves give in to the temptations of lazy 21st century living. Truthfully, taking 20 minutes out of every day to focus on your health and exercise is all it really takes to ensure that you are on the path to the best you possible. One thing that can help a lot is by having a steady morning routine that gets you really primed for the day ahead of you. There is nothing more refreshing than waking up, and, after brushing your teeth and drinking a glass of water, stretching and exercising in front of an open window. Our bodies become acclimated to these types of routines and rejoice in being exposed to fresh air and healthy movement. It is easier to make time in the beginning of your day for yourself than it might be to try to squeeze something in later, knowing that your schedule can become unpredictable and chaotic the further in you get. Try to remember that your personal success is directly related to how strong your mind and body connection is. Even just exercising 3 times a week can significantly improve your confidence and your outlook. There is science behind it, so try to make sure that you are doing what you can to stay focused on your physical fitness. Your brain and your body both will thank you. Goal: wake up every morning and set aside time for yourself to stretch and salute the sun, so to speak. Use this time to focus your energies on yourself and your own physical well-being. Write out a plan to exercise at least 3 times per week, doing things that you enjoy and that serve your body. Make sure that you are being kind to yourself and easy on your body, only pushing yourself to a degree that is healthy and not destructive. Exercising just 3 times a week can improve your blood flow and increase your ability to focus and create, ultimately providing you with a great tool in mastering your destiny. Chapter 5: Living a life of no excuses. All of us like to believe that we are always doing the best that we can. And in ways, that is true. However, it can be surprisingly common that we begin to go easy on ourselves and cut ourselves slack that we might not necessarily give to other people. When we are overwhelmed or tired, it is easy for us to say that we simply are not capable of doing the things that bring us joy or that get us closer to achieving our goals. Our obligations and responsibilities toward our societal roles and family roles may seem like all we have time for. There may even be times when we are down on ourselves about what we can reasonably expect to accomplish. We might not believe in ourselves or our abilities, and because of that we squander precious hours not doing the things we need to do in order to achieve our goals. Part of this might be a lack of self-confidence, which can be addressed using the tools in this book. However, some of this tendency may actually be due to the fact that we are afraid of being successful. So afraid, that we might actually do things that will cause us to get in our own ways. This might seem absurd, but have you ever felt a surge of fear when you were recognized for something you did well, or realized that you were good at something? It's like the moniker that with great power comes great responsibility. The truth is that we are aware that when we perform well at something, it puts pressure on us to continue to succeed, and other people begin to expect a certain level of performance from us. Whether our conscious mind can perceive it or not, it's scary to be successful. However, we have to be willing to face those fears head-on and stop trying to convince ourselves that we are not capable of achieving our dreams. Sure, maybe it is easier not to attempt it because then we can live our lives without being faced with a long road of trial and error and responsibility. It can be so much easier to give away our power in a whirlwind of self-doubt. We make excuses not to succeed. We find reasons why it just isn't possible to work toward our true passions. We allow those excuses to dictate our lives and convince us that we will never be good enough. All of those things are dangerous. Especially when the truth is that each and every one of us has a higher potential that we can aspire to, a higher potential that deserves to be explored and nurtured, not shut down by the excuses we make to ourselves so that we don't have to deal with the responsibilities of success. If you are tired of getting in your own way, or of compromising for other people rather than steaming forward and focusing on your own passions and goals, then it is important for you to come up with a plan of action. What are you going to do to stop yourself from making excuses that allow you to fail without taking any personal responsibility for it? What are you going to do to stop compromising your vision for the expectations of others? Here are a few ideas. First of all, begin to really examine yourself and your thoughts. Learn to recognize when you are cutting yourself too much slack and letting yourself off the hook. The only way to truly become a master of your own destiny is to allow yourself to take responsibility for your future. If you fail, you have only yourself to blame. And that sort of blame really doesn't feel good. When you look back on your life and find that you constantly made excuses not to achieve the things you truly care about, you will see that there were choices that you could have made to better your situation. You didn't have to put others first at all times. You could have made time for yourself. Instead of living a long life of regrets and living with a lack of fulfillment, take responsibility for yourself in the here and now. Practice mindfulness techniques that will provide you with a realistic interpretation of the events going on in your life. Take responsibility for every minute in your day and decide what is truly worth spending those extra moments on. Sure, you have responsibilities and obligations, whether to your job or to your family, and those can be important. But you are important too. And it is extra important to stop making excuses that allow you to let your life pass by before your eyes without you feeling the urgent need to step in and direct those minutes toward achieving your dreams. Goal: journal about all of the self-defeating thoughts that you have during the day and come up with affirmations to counter those thoughts. If you find yourself thinking something like, "I'm not smart enough to figure that out and succeed at my dream job," counter that thought with an affirmation such as, "I am smart and capable, and I can achieve anything I set my mind to." Do the same when you find yourself making excuses to take the easy way out. The easy road is not necessarily the right road to travel. If you want to master your destiny, make sure that you are taking care of your biggest obstacles, even if that includes yourself.